Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining another Lead Squared webinar. I am Shivani and I work for the marketing team at Lead Squared. So it's all about the manufacturing space today. We are discussing scaling dealer networks without complexity, and we're certainly here to get the leadership's perspective on it. So some of the things that we will explore today are, of course, the dealer retention versus acquisition piece. We will also talk about loyalty programs, and finally, we will talk about onboarding at scale. I have a fabulous panel here today. To start off with we have Mr. Sandeep Abraham, who is the president of sales at Sarah Sanity Wear. He comes with 30 years of experience, so lots to learn from him. The brand is primarily known for tiles, wellness products, and innovation in faucets. Secondly, we have Mr. Subrito Basu, who is the VP of Marketing at Nitco. He also has 20 years of experience, so a wealth of knowledge all round. 20 of experience in marketing, sales, and business leadership. He brings strategic insights from one of India's leading tile and marble brands. Finally, last but not the least, we have our very own Anil Kumar, who is the VP of Enterprise Business. Anil, at the same time, also brings 16 years of experience. So all around, like I could write a thesis about this. So Anil, all yours. Please take it ahead. I will pop back in towards the end to take questions from the audience. The audience, keep your questions coming. We want to keep this conversational. Now I'll hand it over to Anil to kickstart the show.
Thank you so much, Shivani, for the introduction, and that was very warm. So I think I would like to welcome Sandeep and Subrat, and I would like to thank them for extending their time to make this happen. So basically, the topic of scaling dealer networks without complexity, I think I'll start quickly without wasting the time. So I think I have a list of questions which I'll keep throwing to Subrat and Sandeep, and feel free to answer as you seem fit, as you see that these are probably something that you can throw some light for the audience. So I think the first question is to you, Subrat and Sandeep. Definitely, you can add to it. Let's say in your view, today the sales channel, let's say dealers today as a sales channel, are they only as a sales channel for you, or they are also brand ambassadors of your product? And I want to understand, let's say, over a period of time, how this thinking has changed and progressed.
Uh, Interesting question first. I think the most interesting point of this question is most of the dealers in India are basically selling an assortment of products. So usually they're like a retail brand and they're not selling a product brand. And in a retail brand, it's about the assortment and the multi-branded products they have in their stores. And they have a catchment area of retail consumers and projects and architects who they enable the business via. Within that set, you also have dealers who are a little loyal to a brand and they build exclusive stores and they actually become brand ambassadors to a quasi extent because then they're the, I would say, representative of the brand as far as experience and the brand in the front of the consumer vis-a-vis the store and the experience they provide. But most of the channel would be largely sales network, and few of the exclusive format stores, I would probably put them as somewhat brand ambassadors because then they represent the brand in the truest sense when the consumer looks for the brand in the space in which he looks at a catchment area and the product to be availed. So that would be my 20 point. But I guess the industry is still a very sales channel network level business because it's primarily a retail brand is building infrastructure products around us.
Okay, I think that was really helpful. Anything for you, Sandeep, or should I move to my next one because that is for you?
Okay, and go to the next. I think Mr. Subrato has
Yes.
answered
I think the next is around the dealer retention and the dealer acquisition bit. So we wanted to understand, and the audience wanted to understand where are we spending the budget. So let's say if you have to split your investments between onboarding, let's say new dealers, and let's say retaining the high performing ones, uh, where are you spending more money today, and basically why?
Yeah. So it's a good question. So basically, you will have to also tell me you're talking about which spend, the ANP spend or the IT spend.
Uh,
Both differ.
we can, we can look at all the spends when it
Okay.
comes to money.
See. Basically, it's equally important, but the most important thing is to sustain the business. No, it is a sustainable business model. So The existing base is the most important thing. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. You keep on expanding, and there's a higher churn out from your network. Then that's a business risk. So basically, if you talk about from A&P point of view, I mean the major budget goes for retaining the existing channel and keeping them, because you want them to carry on the journey, decade after decade. But if you talk about IT in particular, or digitally, if you talk about, yeah, the currently, of course, the spend goes maybe 60-40% on the acquisition also, because there is a very well defined process you can see in a lot of industry evolving, which we are also trying to implement. How you can onboard your channel partner in a very seamless manner, like what happens today in banking industry or finance industry. So the same thing, you will like to implement when we are onboarding the new channel partners. And digitally, how quickly today, like you saw an ad of a bank, how fast you can open a savings account. The same way, why can't a dealer digitally within a shortest time, approach, upload, and then get approved, if the parameters are met. So that's how we are also working towards it, because any industry which is setting an example, I think that is possible in the across various industries. And we are, sooner or later, every company which wants to sustain follows that trend, and we are also doing that. Yeah.
Great. I think Sandeep, that was a good one and a decent one for our understanding. I think the next question is largely on technology adoption. Now, this is for both of you. But so let's say, which digital initiatives have made, let's say, a bigger impact on the dealer network, and which one I would not say flop, but then I would say which ones have not worked out. Let's say in your favor, which you have done a rollout for. So over to you.
Sandeep, you want to start?
I think you can start, and then I will answer.
Yeah, basically, what worked, what bombed. I think that's
I'll start with what bombed first, because that's the most interesting part. What worked was visual. So a lot of times when we started, we actually tried to look at a very high-end model where the inventory data gets seen by the sales dealers on ground. That bombed a lot of times, because if you didn't have inventory on the back end and the dealer could see no inventory, then the whole mayhem of processes kind of erupted, because the industry is fairly dependent on availability and actually getting the product on place, placing an order and getting the product streamed into the system. So that structure of information inflow, outflow, where you don't have your back end in place, always bombs. So if your back end is in place, then the front end always works. So that's one lesson for us as a company. What works is always anything which is interesting for the dealer, like the scheme, the incentive, the information, which actually makes him tick and gets a little more better information than what a salesperson can give him on a regular basis, which connects him better for driving business, always works. So
Yeah. So from my side, I think what matters is a very transparent way of dealing with your channel partners. So DMS software or a digital platform where a channel partners, without depending on any individual, he's able to seamlessly do business with any organization, matters for him. That's the most important thing in terms of knowing his account, what is his due, and if you are able to track live based on your order processing, where your goods are.
I have a follow-up question there on DMS, because I think I meet a lot of people, and I think the biggest bomb that I see in the market is basically the adoption of DMS, because exclusive stores bang on, I am okay, yes, DMS adoption is there, but the non-exclusive one, wherein they are selling, let's say, your brand and 10 other competing brands, and then they have to use 10 different DMS. And I've visited a lot of dealerships myself in rural India to onboard clients. I've seen the biggest challenge is the adoption of DMS, because people don't use it. Then that's how you don't get actual idea of the inventory which is lying with the dealer. If you can throw some light there, I think that'll be helpful.
No, that's correct. So when we initiate, that's very important. What you initiate from the HO or IT level, it goes down to the last mile person in terms of your team, educating them, and also to take the trust, win the trust of even the smallest dealer in the smallest town. And that's a big journey. It is more than a year, and the benefit happens in the second and third year for any organization. And there is definitely a hurdle because, see, we have also seen there are various multiple platforms sometimes created by the old management, but it has not been update. I mean, the awareness is not there with the new onboarded team, so they are not aware, or new onboarded channel partners, they have not been educated. So that's where, I mean, so it's important, according to me, if you're spending, you have to see that 80% adoption happen, if not 100%. And that has to be spread over, you have to patiently build it over a period of 1 year to second year, mid, where is when you see the effectiveness. Till then, you'll have to drive it. And otherwise, I have seen so there are a lot of platform which is not being used, which would have been initiated a decade before in the organization. So we have to be, and somewhere when you have got various platforms also, somewhere you'll have to take the pain of getting it all together and
Integrated.
churning out what you don't want. That is also important. Yeah.
Okay. I think that was definitely helpful. Sandeep, I think just a follow-up question, and Subrat, to you, both of you. I think so. When it comes to, let's say, a DMS adoption, do you people also feel, let's say, people may not want to implement, let's say, multiple softwares, or let's say install multiple softwares, or open multiple link? Do you people feel, since you interact and you have access to the market on a regular basis, so do you people feel that, let's say, if you get something on WhatsApp, if WhatsApp becomes, let's say, an order placement, let's say a ledger, or lookout, or let's say finding out the last invoice, raising any query for a faulty product, or a quality issue that the dealer has received in the product, or even if, let's say, they want to raise any marketing collateral or anything like that, do you feel WhatsApp could be one of the channels wherein you don't have to install an app, just go to, let's say, the specific brand WhatsApp and just place the order? Do people feel that that could be, let's say, a solution which could help, wherein this dealer goes, places the dealer code and places the order? That's all.
I think what he's saying, Anil, is what happens is, for a channel point of view, he might be having certain, I would say, touch point which is more enabled with. So
Okay.
what you say, WhatsApp, yes, I agree. WhatsApp is the most enabled chat point when you want to communicate with people.
Okay.
But there may not be also the most legitimate chat point where you can actually give multiple functions. You can do it on an app.
Okay.
So I would say all those touch points should exist in a consensus manner of having one connect. But
Yes.
depending on the client and how they would like to receive information and use information, the touch point should not be something which is not used to. So you need to connect your touch points based on the customer. It's like if I'm going to make a TV ad, but you only read a newspaper, it's relevant, not irrelevant, right?
True.
So it need to be relevant to you vis-a-vis the touch point. But how can I connect the touch points in a universal method by which your job is done, in whichever smartest possible way by which I can engage and do it? So it's not by restricting the number of calls. Like if you have a call center, your website, you have a at WhatsApp, you have this, but you need all, because you don't know at what point of time which customer is using all. But if you understand the customer's methods of touch points, then you can at least calibrate your touch points accordingly.
Absolutely.
So that's the way I would look at it.
Sure. I think I'll jump to our next question, which is on rural reach and last mile delivery. So I think we've seen a lot of demand which is coming from the rural segment. So I want to understand, what is the biggest challenge in reaching the last mile today, and how are we resolving this challenge?
See, for us, I mean, we do have B, C, and D towns. The rural distribution is there, but when you say rural, it's a big subject. It's not that easy as we state. And even for organizations which are there for more than 4 or 5 decades, you might have still not reached to the last mile because India is too big, and even today, even at panchayat level, there are small points because see, we would have reached a certain small town from where in and around the villages are being served. So that till that point, I think we have cracked because when we travel, we also see, I mean, how, I mean, in a particular town, you've got a channel partners having the infrastructure and setup. Like last month, I was there in upcountry of Odisha. So I was trying to understand how he has been able to set up a big showroom and from where the customers come. Also went to a very one place where the channel partner is the king of distribution in that small town, where he is into from FMCG to building metal to you name the goods. Within his family, he commands and he has got big infrastructure. So, I mean, I was trying to understand. So, basically, in and around that town, the villages, it can be 10 village, 15 village, 20 villages, which is being served. So, this consumer also comes to this main towns to buy. So, if you are able to crack till then, I think still you're able to address that. And basically, the supply chain of the channel partner is what we are dependent on, because if we have got our factory or warehouse, and of course, India, the transport, the road transport is quite good, robust now with good roads by the is being built. So, if you are able to make it reach to this main distributor, and then from with his expertise, you end up reaching to this small talukas and small villages, and that is how we do. And I think that's what for urban consumer, though we can still give them an option of Amazon, Flipkart, or digital buying over the website.
Yes.
That's what.
Okay, and now with that, I think there's a follow up for you, Sandeep. This is largely on the influencers and the loyalty programs. So let's say I think a lot of organizations offer dealers and influencers loyalty points and loyalty programs. But then, how do you measure these programs are actually driving loyalty, or these are just short-term transactions? And I think, and how do we ensure, let's say, the loyalty is being transcended to the end mile, let's say the influencer also? Because I think we we tried we were trying to work with a brand, and they said, Anil, we have placed QR code where people the influencer can scan the QR code and get the loyalty points. But then a lot of times uh, the influencers call, but the QR has already been scanned before it reached to them. So how do we solve these challenges, and then how, like, is it a hook or is it a habit? Is what we wanted to understand from loyalty perspective, Sandeep.
Yeah. So loyalty program, I think most of the brands and most of the industries have, and that is in thing, and it is getting extended based on various segment the company operates. For us, I mean, it is around the retailer network and it is around the plumber loyalty, which it may be tomorrow for an influencer community also. That's how it is. And for our industry, I'm saying, then for a company which is into like let's say wood, it will be for carpenters and likewise. So this loyalty program, first of all, you have to be very patient because you have to build it over a period of time. You will not get instant results. Point one, you will have to build it over 2 or 3 years. The impact starts happening for the organization from the third year. So that is one very important point, whichever organization initiates it. And then it has to be tracked and reviewed over a period of time with your team, concerned team. And also the data has to be, see, we have got a dedicated guy who throws this data on a monthly basis for review purpose. Automated report is one thing, and accessibility for your team is second thing. But at the actual level, how the data analytics are being done is also important, which throws a lot of insight whether it is effective or not. Because any loyalty program, you are ending up paying, the payouts are there. There is a cost factor, there's a cost involved for the organization. So it has to be transforming into a some business advantage, and then the customers start getting committed to your brand over a period of time, and then you block the competition that way. So what we have seen, like last year, we had launched one of very ambitious plumber loyalty program, and we debated, we had studied a lot of brands in around the industry, and then we formed, and it was well received. Within a year, 50,000 plus plumber we have enrolled, which is a very good,
That's good.
because the industry benchmark was 1 lakh, I remember, when we initiated. And I mean, industry in terms of the entire plumbing and the bath industry, so that was the highest point, and then we were able to enroll. Now, when we go and study the data, of course, now this year, second year being, we are trying to see the conversion now. The conversion may vary from 50% to 30%. It depends upon state to state. It also depends upon how a certain team is working. The first year was more on enrollment. Now the second year we are going to go for more of conversion and active participation, as you said. So right now, I mean, the benchmark is like 50%, but we like ideally it to be at 80% by the end of the second year. So that's where you'll have to spend some real data reviews, and you'll have to keep on driving and keep on making it. The ownership has to be there across your team. Then only it happens, so over a period of time. So that's very important, because you can just onboard and leave it. I've seen a lot of programs where it has failed miserably after also being in the industry for 5 years. I know a brand which has been there in the space for 5 years, not able to make an impact in the same segment. So why? Why? Because it can also be because of the uh, how the program is designed, and how a program is executed at the ground, and also how much committed the company is to make it a success. That these are the 3 points.
Okay, and I think the follow up and the next one is related. So, and I think Sandeep, you have spoken about this in the beginning of the call. So, I think this is largely on dealer onboarding, and so Sandeep, this is for both of you. Uh, how do we, how do you decide, or let's say, how do you, as you expand, let's say, to new geographies, how are you rethinking of dealer onboarding? Let's say dealer onboarding could be one driver which is there for market, which is necessary for market expansion. Now, and what is the role of technology to reduce, let's say, the entire learning curve of this onboarding and then transacting with with these newly onboarded dealers?
I think what Sandeep said about this Makhan Jaisa, like Kotak as a company, how easy they can make an application and work of opening a bank account. I think it's slowly tapping into the other industries as well. So how do you make process easy and faster? But beyond that process is how do you actually go and pitch to the dealer? And how do you build a pitching process so when the sales guy goes with a proposal? How is that pitching process enough to nudge the dealer and make him figure out, hey, this is interesting. I should look at it now, or should I actually connect with the product or connect a little more to know more? So how do you do that entire teasing process or nudging process in the proposal stage, and then get him into a very quick method to onboard and see the information of the company? It's like most of the dealers would love to see the showroom, would love to have an engagement with the products, and you can do them digitally today to actually make him understand things to a lighter degree, to a faster degree. And I guess if he's a dealer of the new gen today, which most of the dealers are getting into the second generation, they're faster in using technology and getting access to a faster method of work. So yeah, I think it helps a lot when you can have the structured program easier, faster, even for the sales guy to implement without much of hurdles of paperwork and files going henceforth between a commercial and a sales guy, codes being opened, and the whole jugglery taking more time. I guess that would be my point of view.
Yeah. So I mean, I personally is inspired by case study of Bajaj Finance,
Yes.
I mean, which has made a benchmark, and there's a case study clearly, and it's today a finance powerhouse, and I've seen practically how the onboarding happens in a very digital manner, without going outside your home. And the same way we are trying to bring it, I won't be able to reveal the entire thing, but this we have taking up this year, because today the hard copy has to reach, and there is a lengthy process. The old method is you fill a form, then you fill a draft or a check, and then the courier, the person, territory, or the branch head signs, and it goes to regional office, it reaches HO, and then the approval process. It's a lengthy process. We are trying to cut it down by using the technology and digital platform. And we have clear mandate has been given to the concerned team to initiate this, and this year I think will be onboarding digitally. That is one of our core agenda for this financial year.
Fantastic, Sandeep.
No, that's wonderful. So I think I would say this problem is into two pieces. One is the sales team figuring out which dealers, or let's say what are the potential dealers which we can onboard in the geography. That is number one. Second, how can you do, let's say, KYC and all the document verification within fraction of second the moment you interact with them. So I think these are two problems, and I think we've resolved both. So yeah, one is there are There are applications wherein you can select a radius wherever you stand, and you can see all the sanitary dealers which are not there in your database. That is number one. And second, all document KYC and document verification can happen on clicking of a picture. So I think these two I can say that definitely this will enable the sales team and the organization to onboard and transact with the dealers much faster. I think from the dealer, since we are discussing about it, I think there's another one with Sandeep and Subrat, both of you. This is on channel conflict and exclusivity. Now, this is a very interesting one with e-commerce and direct-to-consumer channels rising after COVID. Uh, how are you balancing those strategies without, let's say, alienating your traditional dealer base?
I think I'll leave it to Sandeep because we are not much into the other.
So I'm a firm believer because I mean, you and I am also using those platforms for buying, various
Yes.
household goods or garments and XYZ. So I mean, we have initiated this, and right now we are exploring two ways of to digitally serve the consumer. One is without conflicting the interest, because one is we are benchmarking the price with the MOP, because there have been a lot of cases, and especially the white goods industry has learned it at a costly manner, and they have now structured to the end where certain product lines are only available on digital and not to the channel, at the ground level. So but what we are trying to do is balance it out between two platforms. One is our website, where today we are, I mean, some 100 plus, we do have more than 350 galleries. So we are trying to connect all these galleries via our website, where a consumer can buy. So those pin codes is what we are trying to explore, and we have done 100 plus galleries now, and we have also seen consumers coming and buying it. So basically what we see is uh, in our segment, replacement products, still there is a demand, but because it's a functional product, so there is a importance of technical input also from the designer fraternity and the plumbing fraternity. So that is also a constraint when you talk about plumbing product. But then, of course, a health faucet or a shower, which you have to just replace it, just a pillar tap, where you're sure, and the next door plumber would have said this is what is required, or you have got a benchmark product at home which you want to replace. You go and check in your website and buy. So this digitally, those consumers can buy, but it is routed via the channel partners. So this gallery, basically, we are supporting the channel to create the demand, and also at the same time digitally reach out to these towns where we are rolling out, in terms of that. So we the 350 galleries is what the aim is, to connect it, and 100 we have already done it, and we have seen the purchase. That's one way where we are balancing it out rather than conflicting with our channel partners. Other is Amazon, which we have tried as an organization earlier in Flipkart, Amazon, but again, as I said, there is MOP decided, and that happens via the central warehouse. Again, very limited SKUs, which is we have identified, we have done a research and studied which are those SKUs which are clearly consumer is buying over that platform, and those products are available over there. So that's why, I mean, till now, I mean, we are, because company which has got a very wide distribution and network with more than 20,000 plus retailers and 2,000 plus channel partners, cannot risk in terms of. But at the same time, if you have seen developed countries like US, there today bath space 50% of purchase is happening online, so you cannot ignore it. Maybe it will happen in India after a decade. So you cannot ignore it. You will have to explore it in a very cautious manner. That's what we're trying to do.
That's that's helpful. Uh, I think then the follow up question that I have, Sandeep. But I think before I jump there, I think I just wanted to understand. So when you say you have an MOP on, let's say, e-commerce platforms, and you have a separate category of SKUs, are we also saying these are like restricted to the e-commerce and the online platform, or like this also goes in the market in the channel?
Currently, I mean, some of the companies which we have seen has got a certain dedicated product line, But right now we are not doing it. We are selling the regular product mix, but also there is the aging in the inventory. Certain time, what we are trying to do now as a second stage is consumer promotions, which we have not got into. So consumer promotion, when you want to do, we can also always look also at the stocking norms in a certain product line, which maybe have to be phased out after a year or have got excess inventory, can go for consumer promotion. That also helps everyone, because you are liquidating your excess inventory and also
Absolutely.
reaching out pan India at a stroke of a button. That's how it is.
No, I think that's really helpful. I think the other question is on technology adoption. So today you give access of Facebook, or today you give access of Instagram. People will learn on their own. You don't have to train them. There is no training guide. There is no help material which is required to learn these platforms, because there is curiosity and then there's eagerness to learn. But when it comes to technology adoption in organizations, and multiple departments work in silos, there's an institutional team which works with, let's say, larger builders, project sites. Then there's a retail team which works with, let's say, channel, and then there's a marketing team, then there's a call center. Everybody works in silos, and then you also have, let's say, backend ERP, which is in place. Then you have loyalty apps. So there is plethora of technology available. All of this operates in silos sometimes, and then the teams definitely do operate in silos. So let's say how this issue could be resolved within organization while adopting technology. That is number one. Second, what can we do to, let's say, build a cross-functional team alignment early in the process of technology adoption? I think you need insights from both of you on this point. This is a challenge that I've seen in most of the organizations of adoption.
I think Mr. Subrato.
Yeah. So I think what happens is usually every organization starts up with certain technologies being in place and some technologies not being in place. So you have a hearsay of some places something's working, some places something's not working. And then you kind of want to build another technology on top of it, and that's where the trouble starts. And you don't know if you're going to adapt a new technology on top of the existing technology, or you have to have a complete new technology which kind of builds from ground up and moves forward. So usually organizations then become a little deformed because certain technology, if manufacturing technology, you have an SAP, but you don't have a great front-ending technology. But you already bought some small technologies in between to plug in some small holes. And then you kind of realize, hey, now if I need to work through the entire technology, either I have to move away from certain technology and adapt some new technology. That shifting and adoption is where the problems occur largely, because people are working for their own function in their own manner with their own processes. But when technology comes in, the processes also have to change slightly to make all processes work in sync. Something like a customer data flows in from a company across various departments, and various departments act in a different way from the customer data to enable certain outcomes. But the data then has to flow in and flow out with everybody working in sync. That sync is very difficult because everybody has to be in sync, different software at different points. So how do you get them in sync is, and largely if you look at it from an IT role, they will say, okay, we are the IT guys, we are the back end. We only get softwares. The front end guys are all in different pockets, like a sales, a marketing, a supply, and other departments. How do you get all the departments together in a binding element through a process and a workflow is which people struggle with. And that's where I would say things get flawed or the process gets middle. And it's a little time consuming because even if the CFP team works through it, you need all the people in the leadership team to buy into the process and then work through the process to make things happen. It cannot change overnight. It cannot be bought in by the front end sales guy to the head of the marketing to everybody working in silos, get together and make things work in an orchestrated manner. So that time orientation, looking at small wins, seeing and tightening processes, driving efficiencies is a ladder process. So usually people look at it into a stop shop and solution upfront, which usually doesn't happen in a
True.
technology adoption across a larger organizational silos.
I think he has fully, most of the points have been answered. Just to add one or two small in addition, what he has explained is it should be, I mean, you should take your time and discuss with each stakeholder before you take off any new initiative in technology. And as Mr. Subrata said, you will have to keep on adapting as the time changes, because sometimes the technology also changes, the platform also changes. So it should be flexible, but once you crack it, you should believe in it and make it a success out of it. So it's better to discuss, debate with all the stakeholders before you go. If you go in, then you'll have to ensure it is effectively implemented and used properly.
No, I think that's helpful because I have seen what a lot of organizations are, because I've been part of tech implementation from past 17 years. I've seen people generally want to implement everything in one go. What would be typically a success, and how we have seen adoption, which is almost 85-90%, is that you design an MVP, you design a minimum viable product, and you don't give everything to them on day one, because that will be too confusing for a end user to use. Because end of the day, his core goal is to drive sales, or let's say marketing, or any other function for that matter. So I think you give him an MVP product wherein you just have one or two forms, and then he fills it up quickly and he feels that's easy to use. And slowly, gradually, you give him the complete build. I think that's what I have seen, which is build adoption. But I think we'll move to our next question. And this is from my own experience. I met one of the sales heads in a building construction company. He said, "Anil, I would need a software which basically doesn't allow me to do a postmortem. Let's say there's an ex dealer, he did so much of business last year and in a season, and this year in the season is past, and let's say 15 days have passed, and he has not placed a single order. My salesperson should get a nudge that this is the goal that you are left with, and this much attainment can be done by visiting this particular dealer." So basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to bring an average guy to an above average guy. So how leaders can shift basically from reactive post-mortem reviews to a more proactive style of planning, live monitoring, and course correcting during the execution, or let's say during the season time, is basically a question for Subrat and Siddiq, both of you.
Sanjay, you can go first.
No, I think I give the chance to you to answer that first. You explain more detail.
Everybody can take this.
So I think what I see in a lot of places, there are people sit and work on Excel sheets and look at historic data without spending more time on the root cause analysis. What can we do to improve that system and move forward? So usually we're very data centric when we look at data, but we don't get answers from the data. What do we do with this? How do we move forward? And here and now is less worked on. So people are not ground up. People are sitting in conference rooms and trying to validate what will work, what will not work. Whereas the person in ground may not have that driving intent or the force or understand all the variables to either ideate a different process and move forward and see if it works, doesn't work, and move to another process. So if you can spend more time in the whole system by which execution happens on ground, rather than getting into a head office and sharing a presentation, what did I do last quarter based on numbers, rather than say what did I do and what worked and what didn't work, and what we should do differently. So usually organizations don't get into conversations of what should be done and how can things do better, and working through different methods to execute faster. We probably get into more of this looking at a balance sheet or a number on the board and saying, we need to double this number. Hey, what are you going to do it with that thing? Nobody knows because nobody's worked through the problems. And usually in planning, it happens in a little myopic world because the one who's planning has not done it on ground or doesn't know the ground better than what the other person who's on the receiving end when it goes to sales. So the dialogue between the sales team to understand exactly where are you, what is your problem, how to solve the problem, rather than telling him this is where you are stuck and you need to double it, is where the issues usually happen, I see in an organization. So it's more of a method where you assist the other person and understand the causes and the effects rather than just pulling the person by a push strategy.
True.
I think we can move to the next question. I agree with you.
Sure, sure. So I think this is the last one, and I would say the important one. Let's say if today, both of you, let's say, have to think about building a dealer network from scratch for, let's say, 2030, what would you do differently today to build that network?
So basically, see, when companies start and then they keep on growing, you know, and then the structure, what you want, I mean, after a certain journey, the brand has traveled and became big. overnight, if you attempt to change the entire landscape of distribution, I believe it's a very dangerous thing which I've seen people doing and collapsing. So you have to evolve. Like what happens in today, if I have to do it, I think I will try to balance it out. So of course, I mean, how the network will be. There are two or three ways only. So one is you have got a direct dealer model, which is likely an Asian paint model, where you have got hundreds of direct dealer with serving from, and we do have certain markets on that model also. And then we do have traditional dealers becoming heavy wholesalers, and then there is a organized distribution which happens. So basically, if I have to do today, I mean, we require a very organized distribution, but you'll also have to give, I mean, some background. I think some noise is coming. So you also have to evaluate the current mix and then think through what is the right for the brand. It depends also on the segment and the brand which you are doing it. If it's a luxury brand, of course, it's only the store network which will happen. So if I have to tell from the current company's background, we were trying to balance it out. I would like to have an organized distribution, a network with one dedicated distributor and a set of retailers dedicated to those distributors, so that his ROA is protected, and also a direct for premium product line, a direct showroom dealers. So which is something like what you find in white goods, very balanced it out. So they will have distributors also, and they will have direct dealers also in each of these metros. I think that is what I will like to change, but with a very, I mean, overnight I don't believe to change, and I always think what has been built up is also your strength, and then your wish list you have to slowly, steadily evolve without disturbing the ecosystem. That's what I believe.
That's really helpful. Subrat, any
Uh,
wonder?
my viewpoint is a little like what Sandeep said, but a little different. Because what I believe is you have to create an experience for the end consumer, whichever different TGs you're doing business with. And the TG has to get some value based on which there is some service which you provide for which he looks at the retail or the experience vis-a-vis the dealer's counter differently. And if you can create those kind of moments of truths and those kind of experiences vis-a-vis what you create on ground and what you can also do virtually, because today the world will also have a lot of digital elements which is virtual and physical. So how you can connect the physical world and the digital world in the whole element to give the customer a more or less 360-degree area where he can do more amount of work, but he can get something different from the services he sees and touches. Especially an architect today, because if you look at an architect as an influencer, can you give something which is virtually in his office as material which he can enable, select, sample, and buy rather than moving to a store? Because it's the most difficult part for an architect to visit to 100 stores with a client and choose material. So how do you actually help his world better? So if as a company you are thinking of the consumer's world and figuring out what can I do to enable his world better, and then building your retail and your virtual and your digital elements according to the same, and also building some services within it which differentiates you from the others when it comes to retail space. It usually works, but that would mean redefining the stores to a little more of digital store where you can enable both and give a little more life to whatever you want to do with your products and your experiences. So
No, I think I would agree to both of you. One is we can't disturb what we have built, and I think second, you're absolutely right on the experience part, because when I was moving to a new house, I went to one of the brands. They built an experience center, and you can actually go, you can actually go and experience how the brand products looks like, and then you can probably place an order from there, or let's say somewhere from another channel network whichever operates in your nearby vicinity. But then I think this was I think we've tried to answer all the questions in time. Thank you so much, Subrat and Sandeep. I think we can move to the audience for question answers. Shibani, would you like to pick up the questions?
Yeah, sure. So one question that came from Money, who's with us right now, the question is how to convince dealers on usage of real-time DMS and channel financing. Would anyone like to take that?
See, DMS is always not. I accept that it is not gracefully accepted, but when you are, I mean, their channel partners are partners, as you say, channel partners. They have to partner the roadmap of an organization. So seniors people, I mean, at the branch level, level, national level, also has to get involved to convince them who are resisting them, tell them the benefit of it. It also helps them because at one side, your inventory inside, which is a big concern for the channel partners. You know, the inventory is where your capital and the working capital is blocked. So if you're some person professionally is able to understand which is the right stocking and guide them, that also helps the channel partner. So it has to be a win-win situation where we have to tell it is just not the company which is getting in inside data, and also we have to clearly demonstrate that their important data are not being shared. It is only the data related to that company which is being shared to the organization, and that has to be done by demo or live demo at the dealer side. That is one way we are doing it, and convince them that this is the way to go. And then, you know, slowly, steadily, once 80% of the channel comes, the other also falls in place. As I said in the earlier context also, it's going to take some time. A year you'll have to invest, year plus, to make it successfully. Second, what was the second thing? I think channel finance. Yeah, channel finance basically a dealer today if you see today's market context, there is a liquidity concern arising in a lot of markets or a lot of places. Liquidity has been a concern, which even at the central government level, I mean, they have acknowledged. That's why a lot of steps have been taken by the RBI and the banks in terms of interest rate. So when you have to expand, you have to also convince the channel partner. The finance has to be brought into it. If an organization or a sales manager or a branch head will have growth strategies for his state and for each of these dealers, and if it has to go seamlessly, then of course, if someone is growing at a 20-30% or doubling it, some cases you will see he will require a finance, you know, and the dealer may have multi business also. It cannot be, if he's into multi-product or multi-business, he will have definitely a capital constraint. That's where channel finance comes. Instead of some organization are raising debit notes also when they are not able to pay on your due time. It is better to use the channel finance, and at the same time, organization has to negotiate very tight with this channel financing company and give them the option of at least two or four vendors, non-banking finance or banking, where their interest is also taken there. So they are able to rotate it at the, because see, anyone who wants to bring the capital additionally ends up paying certain interest rate. If it is being worked out with a tie-up from the organization as a channel finance, it always helps the dealer. And if someone is able to manage on a cash and carry basis with his own finance, well and good. We should not force them. People who are stretching their finance and they are having capital as a constraint for growing more can be easily convinced accordingly.
Okay. All right.
Shivani, I also have a viewpoint there. I think
Sure.
just adding to what Sandeep said. I think from so both the points are related, right? One is DMS adoption, the other one is channel financing. So today, I think a lot of NBFCs and a lot of let's say even at a lower level where DMS is not used, let's say at a small retailer level, there are a lot of microfinance organizations who are ready to work with building construction companies, and these financing options can be very well placed within the DMS. So let's say today you have a dealer management portal wherein you're placing orders, looking at ledger, balance sheet, all of that. All these financing options can also be inbuilt by technology inside the DMS application. So that will not only drive adoption, it will also enable them to, let's say, transact more with the brand. So you can look at options wherein a DMS and, let's say, what Sandeep mentioned, 3-4 partners, and the way you do it in Bajaj uh, Finance or, let's say, any other application. Within the application, you'll be able to raise a finance request, and basis your application, it can be approved project and the financing could be done. So that easy it has become, to be honest. That's how technology has progressed. I know few of the DMS organizations who have already partnered with uh, financing companies, and that finance is available by the DMS. All you have to do is document upload and do the paperwork, and it is all done. And also from adoption perspective, people who do not want to adopt technology, I think we have seen WhatsApp as a growing channel and working as a DMS wherein you can place orders, receive orders, take ledger, raise queries, all of that. So all these permutation combination, what Subrat also mentioned in the beginning, would work, let's say, in terms of adoption. And in the backward, it will give the brand more visibility, what inventory is actually lying with the dealer. And they can also do an auto placement of order depending if the inventory for any specific SKU is low. Yeah, Shivani.
I have a new point, Sipani. Sorry.
Yes.
I think what usually happens is when you use words like DMS and stuff, the data gets confused. So you need to use it like a buddy. You need to actually make that the software or the programs, the UI UX of the program seem so engaging and so inviting that he opens it on a regular basis because he feels that's engaging, impressive for him to come on the board every time he wants to open his on his software or phone or whatever. So how do you use that as the first element first? Because, so that it doesn't use it as a transactional tool only, relevant to point A and point B. So if you actually make it more holistic in the way the software comes across to the person, and you can also have voice over, like you can also have voice. Like if you have a problem, you speak, it speaks back. So how can you make it more, I would say, lighter, engaging, and relevant and fun, so that a person usually, because today everybody is using a digital media just for browsing on Instagram or seeing a Facebook or WhatsApp, which is for communication led to their own engagement area. But how do you actually straddle that engagement into your company's product processes and the way you communicate through your UI UX? That I think is the larger piece. If that's tightened together, the rest will flow. Like he'll see value in what he does in various streams of activities. But I think somewhere we're missing that. We're getting too technical in moving a DMS for it.
I have one more solution. You all can go and request Tally to make a DMS. I think if Tally makes a DMS, it is all sorted because most of the dealers are on Tally. I think I think that could be one more solution. Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
We can move to the other question, Shivani. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Vinod Kumar has a question specifically for you, Subrata. He says Mr. Basu referred that MBO dealers are there and exclusive dealers are very tough to find these days. Without paying any add-on incentives, how can we onboard these dealers?
See, when it comes to an exclusive dealer, the dealer is actually bought into the brand. And when he buys into the brand, he's bought into the concept of the brand, and he also believes that the brand gives him as a net return is something he wants to strive and build going forward in that market. So getting a profile of an exclusive dealer is as much as the dealer as much as the company, selecting the right dealer. So it's like a method by you find the partner you want to straddle with for a long term. Whereas the other dealers who are like multi-branded also wants to have an exclusive space with you are the difficult people to deal with, because then they're really working on an assortment and a large number of value, but they're not really loyal to you. And so you can send the customer to their store, and willingly the customer will be pushed to your product. So that's the difficult area when it comes to a branded experience in a store. It is difficult to get a branded store online, but if you create a great branded store in the market, the testimonial of that will help you get more stores, because the people will see things already proven, and that's what creates momentum. If you ask me, going forward.
Okay, I'll move on to the next question. This had come in earlier through our registration page, and I think it is what the whole world is essentially talking about. How is AI transforming the way dealer networks are managed?
See, AI is, I think, is just at the starting tip off. Of course, you have started getting calls, telecalls on AI. It can be used, but I think we'll have to wait and watch and see how it can. Traditional companies can use at the channel management level. Right now, I mean, we that's how we keep ourselves updated. No companies in the building materials space have done used it at this stage. Maybe their queries can be answered. They can also help you process your orders, everything, the inventory. So it's a technology, I think, which is at the tip and which is going to impact every space of business and life. and we will have to keep an eye on it how it is going to, because as I said, telecalls are where immediately you have seen it being used in a lot of places. I mean, you can also, I mean, in terms of the strategies and lot of input, you can take it out. Today you can do at the channel partners can use their, they can make a small campaign with the help of AI without depending on someone. So a lot of they can explore a lot of things at a cost effective manner, but we have to see real use in terms of various industry how successfully. So right now we are just trying to watch how it is going to impact building material or any industry for that.
I think my view, Sandeep, is that currently, as a platform, it's very useful. But maybe the cost of figuring out the right security partner in AI is very difficult yet, and it's too expensive unless you can build that in the process. Because in an industry like ours, where an architect or a consumer is choosing product, it's very difficult unless you understand the consumer's need. And then if there's an AI system, you can actually give the customer the right solution rather than him selecting on the website and getting lost amongst products and reasoning of what he wants. Because it's a very niched category where he has a specific need. And getting that specific need answer calculated to give him a solution always works. If you have a great AI agent process which can help that lead process faster. Yeah, the problem here to me is primarily security and the right agent which you can build on, and primarily maybe the cost and the current organization context of CRM. Where are you on the process build up? But I see it's a game changer if you ask me going forward.
I'll add to it
Mhm.
what Sandeep and Subrat mentioned. So basically, I think few of the building construction companies can ideally use it. You can look at pains, right? So uh, you can build some, I would not say AI, but you can build some ML models around it. So for example, let's say you typically save the customer data if you're working with a paint company, and then and let's say in metros you can reach out to the customer in 3 years, because that's how the repainting happens in metros. For a tier 2 town, you can save the consumer data and then do a cross sell upsell. You can run a cross sell upsell engine for a 5 year plan. And then if you have a village, a rural end customer data, then you can run a machine learning and a cross sell upsell engine to kind of, let's say, do a cross sell upsell in the span of 10 years. That's how paint happens, right? So I think we have to figure out right models. We are talking to clients wherein we are building models wherein you can do dealer churn prediction analysis. So which dealers might churn in future, right? And this could be a self-learned model of the machine, and which can throw you some insight. Also, you can improve, let's say, some efficiency in sales. There's not much I think anybody has done in the network side, in the channel network side, but then yeah, if you want to improve, let's say, sales team efficiency and all of that, there are certain models that you can train and basically give them some smart nudges wherein what action needs to be done. So today, if I ask a question to, let's say, Subrat and Sandeep, let's say you have a project sales team, you have an institutional sales team. Today, if I tell them where they need to go to sell and what they need to speak with the customer, if a comparison is done with any other product. So I think the two major things are where to go and what to speak. So if these two problems are taken care of, let's say through some ML models, I think that definitely helps an organization.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, Shivani, we can take the next one.
Yeah, I think we're stuck
Out of
with
time.
the time. Yeah, so I will actually hand it back to you, Anil, for closing remarks before we conclude the session.
So I think this was a wonderful session, Subrat, Sandeep. Thank you so much for joining in and sharing the valuable insights. I think we'll keep coming up and bothering you people in future for any other topic which we feel people would like to have, let's say, insights on. Thank you so much for joining, and looking forward for our next session whenever we feel there's a topic which people need clarity on. Thank you so much. Thanks, Subrat. Thanks, Sandeep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Subrata. Thank you, Sandeep.
For joining.
Bye bye,
Thank
Shivani.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.